Hey, y'all. Welcome and/or welcome back to the Naptime CEO podcast. If this is your first time hearing my voice, my name is Andy, and I'm a serial business starter and mom of two. I'm on the grind to grow a multi-million dollar legacy, all while my baby sleep. They sleep right now. And I want you to join me. Don't forget to follow the show here and on Instagram at Naptime CEO Pod. Also, don't forget to rate the show. It helps me way more than you think. Hopefully, y'all are having a great and productive week, meeting all your goals, making good memories with your babies, taking care of yourself, ma'am. I know I am. I have been busy this last week. It's one of the reasons why the podcast is late. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. In this episode, I want to discuss the levels of finance I take if I were new to entrepreneurship. So grab your pen and paper, okay? It's going to be juicy. I'm going to be honest with y'all. When I started my first business, I had no clue what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to own a business. I love sewing clothes, and I've designed clothes since I was a very young age. And when it came to what business I wanted to start, fashion was the easiest one. It was always going to be fashion. At the time, my goal was to finance my designer label, and I felt like starting with wholesale to resale was the best way to get that done. If you don't know what that is, it's basically buying in bulk at a deep discount, then marking up the price to sell to customers to make a profit. I'm the type of person that when I get something in my head, it be stuck up there. I'm going all in 100%. Okay. I found all these websites to source clothes and accessories, found a local store that sold equipment and supplies for retail stores. Your girl bought everything. Okay. All the inventory, the packaging, the labeling. You thought it. I had it. When I say that it was expensive, ugh, and your girl was making no money. Okay. But I did put whatever extra I had into the store. Shortly, I ran out of money. I wasn't really making any money. So, of course, the knee-jerk reaction for me was to get more money to continue to grow my business. Now, at the time, the only money options I knew about was credit. I was successfully managing my personal card. So when I got my EIN, I went off and made my first money mistake. Okay. I applied for a company card and ran up some business debt. That business debt is now on my credit because I stopped paying it, and they reported the late payments to the credit bureau. I'm working on getting it down. So anyway, don't be like me, okay? I want to discuss how you should progress in your finance journey with your business. I'm going to show you how to avoid what I call my fatal money mistake. All right. Now, I've been an entrepreneur at this point for 10 years or attempted at entrepreneurship for 10 years. And of course, your girl done came a long way. Okay. As I progressed in entrepreneurship, I got better at deciding what was a good business idea, and deciding how to finance these businesses. In my experience, there's really three levels to acquiring funds for your small business outside of like investors and all that. I'm not talking about that. Level one is bootstrapping. We've already talked about starting with your skill or hobby, but when you bootstrap a business, you basically use what you already have, your resources, your network, personal funds, etc., to start the business. Let me explain my position on bootstrapping, okay? Now, this is how it helped me fund what I call my best business, what bootstrapping looked like for me, and potentially what it could look like for you and your business. When I started my rage room business in 2021, I was pregnant with my youngest son, my littlest. Okay. At the time, I knew I didn't want to get into deeper debt. So I cash flowed the domain and the website with my personal money. All right. Since I was pregnant, I did wait a year to start the website, but I took my first booking in August of 2022. And it was for a birthday party in September. So I had like a month. Let's change to prepare. When I say I did not want to go into any more debt, I stood on business about that, okay? When I took that phone call, the price I gave my client covered the cost to rent a truck, to purchase the tent, the supplies, protective wear, marketing yard signs, and car magnets. And I kid y'all not, I'm still working with that same tent, okay? The same smash equipment, and some protective where I have bought more, but the initial was I'm still got some of it. Now, herein lies my first rule of bootstrapping, and that's not to buy anything until you've got your first booking. The way I see it, if the first booking pays for your initial investment or at least half, then if all fails, you didn't lose much money. And again, it is okay to invest some of your personal funds, but no credit, no loan. The whole premise is to basically start at zero, then reinvest any income generated by the business to grow and prosper. And if you're like I was at that time, then bootstrapping was a huge help financially, especially after my past experience with credit. It's just horrible, okay? And here come all the naysayers. Entrepreneurship is about accepting their ass. And I get that. But we have to minimize the upfront financial risk as much as possible. And bootstrapping is how I achieved that in the beginning. Now, I've shown you what it looks like for bootstrapping in a service-based business. But in a product-based business, this could look like taking pre-orders before buying an actual product. I feel like if I had done this when I first started, it would have saved me so much money and heartache. I probably wouldn't have purchased a thing until I had gotten my social media and audience in order. At the time, I didn't have a target or a way to reach them. And by the time I did, I was burnt out and ready to let the business go. Okay. I digress. A digital based business is even easier because you're basically creating everything. So all you're putting in upfront is sweat equity. All right. The second rule to bootstrapping is reinvesting, putting the money back into the business. All right. You do not get paid yet. Let's be honest. It's going to be so tempting to spend that money on what you need, the kids, the car, the house, blah, blah, blah. But what works best for your business in the long run is reinvesting all of the funds that it generates back into the business. This could look like finally getting that website, upgrading existing equipment for newer equipment, better quality, paying for photo shoots, marketing material, hiring a team, etc. Recently, I took all the money I had made from a mobile rage room session and paid for a grant writing class where they create the grant proposal for you. The goal is to make more money through grants to help me grow my business faster and to get what I actually want in the long run. So we'll talk more on that later. Anyway, the money I spent, although my last, will hopefully secure 10 or 20 times more, 10 or 20 times more than what I invested. And that's the whole point of reinvesting, to get a return on your money. Okay. This brings us to the next level of financing, and that is grants. All right. Grants are basically free money for your business. Depending on the industry that you're in, there's a grant for everything. Childcare, wellness, beauty, fashion, cosmetology. I mean, there is an abundance of grant money out there. Once you have gotten some bookings or orders under your belt, I'm not even gonna lie, you can actually start when you're starting your bootstrapping phase. Then my suggestion would be to take a grant writing course or hire a grant writer. You can do like I did, and I hired a firm to write my grant proposal. These firms provide so many resources, and they assist you in bringing the vision for your business to life. I don't know about y'all, but as a single mom, I don't have the time or energy to sit through a course to learn to write grants, then actually sit and write a grant. I just ain't got it. So I swapped a little time for money, and voila, I got my grant proposal and a host of resources to help me secure my first grants and maybe many more. All right. The last level of financing I'm going to discuss is business loans and credit. Now, I never said you shouldn't look into obtaining credit or a loan for your business, but my original point was that bootstrapping and the point of bootstrapping is to come out as little as possible in the beginning to grow your business. Now, I know I spoke on my horrible history with credit, but it's okay to change course once business is big and growing. Honestly, I think once you've solidified that your business is solid and you're bringing in income, grants, loans, and credit, and even investors will only further your business. Also, with the growth of your business, you've grown as well. You know your business and hopefully know what financial responsibilities it can take on. If business looks good and everything is working smoothly, then I say get the business credit or take out the loan. This will help propel business faster because bootstrapping can be a slow process. When I got my physical rage room, I took out a loan with my POS system or point of sale system to finance some equipment I needed for our lobby. The terms were good, and the loan automatically came out of our sales. So it was kind of guaranteed. Now, unfortunately, it didn't report to my DUNS number or my personal credit, or any kind of credit reporting agency. But I was aware of opening another card for the company, and it was the right amount at the right time. So I definitely recommend it. Now, if you're a wary or you just don't know, get an account. All right, y'all. So these are my 3 levels of small business financing. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Naptime CEO. Please share the show with a fellow business mama. I want to leave y'all with this, all right? If you could put in 20 hours a week at a part-time job, I know you can put 20 hours a week into your own business and double or triple your part-time income. I'm just saying, all right? Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'll see y'all next week.